So why is change so difficult? It's so difficult because change is about breaking a habit. Breaking habits are hard. The more habits you have, if they're the right habits, the more creative and powerful your life can be. So I want to look at one of my favorite verses in the New Testament, one of my favorite stories. Here's what it says. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool in Aramaic called Bethesda, which has 5 roofed colonnades, and in these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. And when Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" Jesus empowers him. Why? Because power to change is preceded by desire to change. Power to change is preceded by desire to change. Now, Jesus takes note of this guy because he's been there for 38 years. Jesus somehow knows him. I don't know how he knows him, and he's had a desire for change, so he reaches out to him and says, "Hey, you want to get well? Do you want to get well?" Why would Jesus ask him that? It could sound kind of insensitive. Why would he ask him that? I believe he asks him that, and I believe that he's asking him a question at all. Why isn't he addressing anybody else who's there? Why this guy? Because I believe it's this guy has the most desire to change. I took a skim over the first 4 books of the New Testament, which are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They are the 4, if you will, authorized biographies of the life of Christ. If you read through those 4 books, you'll find there's 41 accounts of Jesus healing somebody, bringing power to heal somebody. At least that's what I counted this last week. Now, of those 41, some are duplicates. But it's interesting, as I went through that, I tried to find what is a common element that goes throughout these stories. The most common element, other than the fact that Jesus is present, the most common element is in 34 out of the 41 times, the only people who get power for healing are the people who desire it and instigate it. In other words, 34 out of 41 times, the only people who can hear are those who approach Jesus and say, "I want to get healed. I want to get better." 34 out of 41. The idea that God just randomly gives some people good stuff and other people not isn't seen nearly as often as God looking for who wants it. Who wants it? Who wants to change? The great news about God is He doesn't just leave us to our own physical and emotional capacities. He actually comes along and does for us what we can't do only by ourselves, but He's looking to see if you and I want to change. And so Jesus asked him, "Do you want to be well?" And it continues. The man answered, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water stirred up, and while I'm going, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Get up, take up your bed, and walk." And at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked. He has faith that this water is going to do it. Whether it will or will not, it's probably likely not going to, but he's got faith that it's going to happen, and this faith is going to help him out in his interaction with Jesus. This is the second big point. The power to change is linked with the faith to change. It's not just the desire, I want to change. It is, I'm going to do X because I believe if I do X, Y will happen. Faith. Faith. And deciding that when God wants me to do something, I should just do it when it's in line with His values. When I got my mind around this passage years and years ago, something really clicked for me. That Jesus was looking to see who wanted it, and He was looking to see if somebody believed, had faith that it could happen. This guy has faith that he is going to be healed. Why is that? It's not just he's interacting with Jesus, but Jesus then says to him, "Pick up your mat and walk." So he's got to make the decision, do I try to get up before there's been any sign of change on him? All there is try again to get up and walk. And what do you know? He gets up and he walks. Crazy. Power comes to him. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, the story's not over yet. Check this out. Now, that day was the Sabbath, so the Jews said to the man who had been healed, "It is the Sabbath, and it's not lawful for you to take up your bed. You just did work. You can't do that." But he answered them, "The man who healed me, that man said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" Right away, as soon as he's changing, there is friction. Power to change brings the power to divide. I promise you, you start changing, get ready for people to be bothered. Promise you. Because unintentionally, the people who are around us are the people who are likely doing the same habits that we're doing, whatever those habits are. And when you change, people go, ooh, it's challenging to people. And they might feel in a strange way judged, even though you're not doing that, because you're not doing something that they would normally do. God's looking to see if we desire it, if we have faith for it, if we're willing to step out for it, and if we do, it will always affect our activities. Always will. Do you want to change? Do you want to be well? Do you want to be in a different place? Then you have to identify change of habits in your mind, and you have to do something. You have to.